The Galactic Council Hall was silent. It was the largest building in the known galaxy. The ceiling was so high that it looked like a night sky filled with artificial stars. Long metal pillars rose like frozen lightning from the floor to the roof. Hundreds of alien species filled the circular chamber, sitting in rising tiers that surrounded the center stage. In the middle of that massive hall stood 3 humans. They looked small compared to the giant reptilian warlords, the tall silver-skinned diplomats, and the armored insect generals. Humans seemed weak, soft, fragile. Whispers spread through the chamber. Why are they here alone? Did they finally accept protection? Or are they surrendering? For many years, humanity had been watched carefully. They were a young species, fast learners, but still young. Their ships were average. Their weapons were nothing special. They had survived small border wars, but only barely. Many in the council believed humans would not last another century without help. At the highest seat sat the Supreme Counselor, a tall being with pale blue skin and glowing white eyes. His long robe shimmered like flowing water. He raised one hand. Silence fell instantly. Human representatives. His deep voice echoed across the hall. You have been summoned to explain your refusal. The 3 humans did not move at first. Then the one in the center stepped forward. He wore a simple dark uniform. No medals, no armor, no visible weapons. His face was calm. We are listening, he said. A low murmur spread again. No bow, no sign of fear. The Supreme Counselor's glowing eyes narrowed slightly. The Galactic Defense Treaty was offered to Earth. Protection from hostile empires. Shared technology. Shared fleets. In return, you would accept limited oversight. The word oversight echoed longer than the rest. Everyone knew what it meant. Control. The human delegate spoke clearly. Humanity declines. The chamber exploded in noise. Some species laughed loudly. Others hissed in anger. A massive reptilian general slammed his armored fist against a seat. You decline, the reptilian roared. You are surrounded by powers older than your sun. Pirates raid your outer colonies every cycle. You barely defend your own borders. The human did not react. We are aware of our situation, he replied calmly. A tall insectoid strategist leaned forward. Its many eyes focused sharply. Then your decision makes no logical sense, it said. Without alliance, extinction probability increases by 72%. The human gave a small smile. Your calculations are outdated. That sentence changed the mood. The laughter faded. The reptilian general narrowed his eyes. Explain. The human looked around the chamber slowly, making eye contact with several council members. For years, he began, the galaxy has studied humanity. You measured our ships. You scanned our weapons. You observed our colonies. He paused. But you only saw what we allowed you to see. The room became very still. At the upper levels, diplomats whispered nervously. The Supreme Counselor leaned forward slightly. Are you suggesting deception? He asked. I am suggesting preparation, the human answered. The lights in the chamber dimmed slightly. Several council guards shifted position. The reptilian general laughed again, but this time it sounded forced. Preparation for what? You're not a war species. The human looked directly at him. We were invaded 3 times in our first 50 years of space travel. The chamber quieted. We were tested, rated, studied. Every time we survived, barely, and every time we learned. A soft mechanical sound echoed from beneath the center platform. Some council members looked down. The floor under the humans began to glow faint blue. Guards immediately raised their weapons. Stand down, the Supreme Counselor ordered. The human delegate did not move. You believe humanity is weak, he continued. You believe we need protection. The glow under the platform grew brighter. A circular outline appeared around the 3 humans. The reptilian general stood up fully now. What is this? He demanded. The human answered calmly. This is why we declined. The floor opened slowly. From beneath the platform, a tall metallic structure began to rise. It was humanoid in shape. White and steel blue armor plates reflected the chamber lights. A circular core in its chest pulsed with soft blue energy. Its surface looked smooth but layered, like something alive made of metal. Gasps filled the chamber. "That is battle armor," whispered one alien scientist. "Primitive exosuit design," another muttered, though uncertainty filled his voice. The structure locked into full height, nearly 3 meters tall. The human delegate turned slightly toward it. "This," he said, "is Mark III." The name echoed strangely in the chamber. "Third version?" the insectoid strategist asked carefully. "Yes." The armor suddenly shifted. Plates moved smoothly across its surface. Weapons formed and disappeared within seconds. A shimmering shield flickered briefly around it. The council members stared in disbelief. "This is a violation of treaty law," one diplomat shouted. "We signed no such treaty," the human replied calmly. The Mark III unit stepped forward. Each movement was heavy, yet perfectly balanced, controlled, powerful. The reptilian general felt something unfamiliar crawl into his thoughts. "Doubt. What is its combat rating?" he demanded. The human looked back at him. "We have not found its limit yet." Silence. No laughter now. Only silence. The Supreme Counselor slowly stood from his throne. "How many of these units exist?" he asked. The human delegate met his glowing eyes. "That," he said quietly, "depends on how the galaxy treats us next." The blue core of the Mark III glowed brighter. Across the chamber, fear began to grow. For the first time, the Galactic Council realized something terrible. They had misunderstood humanity. And now, it might be too late. The Galactic Council Hall did not recover quickly. Even after the Mark III armor appeared, many council members refused to believe what they were seeing. The galaxy had seen advanced armor before. Many species used battlesuits. Many claimed superiority. Humans were not supposed to be different. The reptilian general broke the silence first. "So, this is your secret?" he said loudly. "One machine in a hall full of empires?" A few counselors laughed again, carefully this time. "Yes," said a tall avian diplomat, spreading his wings. "Every minor species builds a symbol of strength. It does not change reality." The human delegate did not argue. He simply nodded once. "That is fair," he said. "Then allow us to show reality." The Supreme Counselor raised one hand. "What kind of demonstration are you requesting?" he asked. "A controlled one," the human replied. "No damage to the hall. No risk to the council." The council exchanged uneasy looks. Finally, the Supreme Counselor spoke. "Proceed." The lights dimmed further. The center of the chamber filled with holographic light. A massive three-dimensional battlefield formed in the air. Broken cities. Burning skies. Alien warships above. "This is a standard planetary invasion," the human explained. "One that many of you have conducted." Several alien leaders watched closely. Some looked proud, others uncomfortable. "Enemy forces?" the Supreme Counselor asked. "Simulated using council-approved data," the human answered. "Nothing exaggerated." A timer appeared in the air. The reptilian general leaned back, arms crossed. "And how many human units will participate?" "One," the human said. More laughter echoed. The Mark III armor stepped into the holographic battlefield. The moment it entered, enemy sensors locked on. Alien war drones moved first. Plasma fire filled the air. The council expected the armor to fall. It did not. A transparent shield flashed into existence, bending the energy away like rain hitting glass. The Mark III did not even slow down. It moved forward. Its arm shifted shape. A compact weapon formed without sound. One shot. 3 drones fell. The laughter stopped again. The battlefield reacted. Heavy units appeared. Walking tanks. Missile platforms. The Mark III paused. For a brief moment. It seemed to analyze everything. Then it moved faster. Too fast. Missiles launched. The armor dodged between them with impossible precision. One missile exploded near it. The shield absorbed the blast. No damage. The insectoid strategist leaned closer to the display. That reaction time, it whispered, that processing speed. The Mark III leapt. It landed on top of a tank, crushed its core, and jumped again before the wreck hit the ground. Energy beams struck from multiple directions. The armor adapted. The shield changed color. Then the beam stopped working. A murmur of shock spread across the council. Adaptive defense, said a mechanical intelligence softly. Learning in real time. The reptilian general stood slowly. This is impossible, he growled. The human delegate kept his eyes on the battlefield. No, he said. This is necessary. The simulation intensified. A massive war beast appeared, taller than most buildings. Its roar shook the holographic city. Several counselors smiled again. Now let us see, one whispered. The beast charged. The Mark III did not retreat. Its chest core glowed brighter. A new weapon formed along its arm, larger, heavier. One shot. The beast collapsed. Silence filled the hall. The simulation ended. The battlefield faded away. The Mark III stood still in the center of the chamber, undamaged, unmarked, untouched. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then a soft voice broke the silence. How many versions existed before this one? Asked the insectoid strategist. The human delegate answered calmly. 2. The strategist hesitated. And they failed. Yes. A cold feeling spread through the chamber. Failed versions meant learning, testing, improvement. Failure meant survival. The Supreme Counselor looked directly at the human. You built this not to conquer, he said slowly. No, the human replied. We built it to make sure we are never helpless again. The reptilian general clenched his fists. This technology shifts balance, he said. It threatens galactic stability. The human finally looked at him. Only if you threaten us. Another silence. The Mark III armor powered down slightly. The blue glow softened, but its presence still filled the room. The Supreme Counselor lowered himself back into his seat. You have surprised this council, he said, but surprise alone does not earn trust. The human nodded. We did not come here for trust, he said. We came here for understanding. The council began to whisper again, but now the whispers were different. Not laughter, not mockery, fear, and something else. Respect, far above the chamber. Ancient empires realized a truth they had never considered. Humanity had not been weak. Humanity had been waiting. The silence inside the Galactic Council Hall felt heavier than any weapon. The Mark III armor still stood at the center platform. Its surface reflected the chamber lights like calm water. The blue core in its chest pulsed slowly, like a steady heartbeat, alive, waiting. Around the chamber, alien leaders were no longer whispering with confidence. Their voices were low now. Careful, the reptilian general was the first to speak again. One unit proves nothing, he said, though his voice was less certain than before. Many empires possess elite soldiers. The human delegate turned toward him calmly. You are correct, he said. One unit proves nothing. The human lifted his hand slightly. The air above the platform shimmered. A new holographic display appeared. This time it was not a battlefield. It was a star map. Dozens of star systems glowed across the projection. Some were marked in red, some in yellow, a few in green. The council members recognized the map immediately. It was the outer region of known space. Conflict zones, pirate territories, unstable borders. 3 years ago, the human began. This region experienced 32 major raids, 9 colonies destroyed. 4 species requested emergency aid. Several counselors shifted uncomfortably. Those requests had been delayed, some ignored. The human continued. 2 years ago, the number dropped to 12. The reptilian general frowned. Pirate activity does not simply fall, he said. Not in that region. The human nodded. Correct. The map changed. Small blue markers appeared across the unstable systems. Last year, the human said quietly, there were 0. A wave of confusion spread across the chamber. That is impossible, said the avian diplomat. Pirates relocate, added another. Yes, the human replied. They do. The map zoomed in. 1 red mark system flickered. A recording began. A pirate fleet exited warp near a small mining colony. Their ships were armed and ready. Before they could fire, something else arrived. A single flash of blue light. The Mark III armor appeared in space. Gasps filled the hall. In vacuum, whispered an alien scientist. The recording continued. The armor moved between ships like a streak of lightning. Energy bursts cut through engines. Shields collapsed instantly. Within minutes, the pirate fleet was disabled, not destroyed. Disabled. The recording ended. The chamber was silent again. You deployed this arm alone? The insectoid strategist asked. Yes, the human said. In space? Yes. For how long? The human paused. Long enough. The meaning was clear. This was not a machine built only for ground combat. It was not limited. It was not slow. It was not fragile. The reptilian general leaned forward, eyes narrow. How many? He asked. The question echoed. It was the question no one wanted to ask. The Supreme Counselor spoke slowly. Yes, he said. How many Mark III units exist? The human delegate did not answer immediately. He looked around the chamber, at the ancient empires, at the warlords, at the diplomats who once spoke about placing Earth under supervision. Then he answered, enough to defend every human colony at once. A cold wave spread across the room. The council members began calculating. Humanity had over 40 major colonies, hundreds of smaller outposts. If each one could be protected instantly, the balance of power had shifted, not slightly, completely. The avian diplomat spoke carefully. You have acted beyond council authority. The human turned toward him. We acted where the council did not. That statement hit harder than any weapon. Several species lowered their eyes. They remembered the delayed aid requests. They ignored distress calls. The smaller species that had suffered while the major powers debated. The Supreme Counselor's voice was quieter now. You intervened in foreign territories without approval. Yes, the human said, to stop slaughter. The chamber felt divided. Some counselors were angry. Others were ashamed. The insectoid strategist spoke again. Mark III demonstrates advanced adaptive shielding, autonomous targeting, vacuum survival, and independent deployment capability. This is not simple armor. No, the human agreed. It is not. What powers it? The strategist asked. The human gave a small smile. A question for another day. The reptilian general slammed his hand down again. But this time it sounded more like frustration than dominance. You threaten galactic order, he growled. The human's calm expression did not change. We protect our own. And if the council decides this technology must be regulated, the general pushed. The Mark III's chest core glowed slightly brighter. The human answered softly. Then we will protect it too. The meaning was clear. Humanity was no longer asking for permission. They were declaring independence. The Supreme Counselor closed his glowing eyes for a long moment. When he opened them again, something had changed. You hid this for years, he said. Why reveal it now? The human looked up at the towering seats of the chamber. Because today you offer protection, he said. And protection always comes with control. He paused. We will accept partnership, not control. The council fell silent once more. For centuries, power had belonged to the oldest species, the strongest fleets, the largest armies. Now a young species stood before them with something new, not numbers, not size, precision, speed, preparation. The Supreme Counselor finally spoke. The galaxy misjudged humanity. The human gave a slight nod. Yes, he said, you did. Far beyond the chamber walls, fleets drifted through space. Empires calculated new strategies. Warlords reconsidered old plans. Because the truth was clear now. Humanity had not been trying to catch up. They had already moved ahead. And the Council was only just realizing it. The Galactic Council Hall no longer felt powerful. Even with thousands of representatives seated in their ancient tiers, the balance had shifted, not because of shouting, not because of threats, but because of truth. The Supreme Counselor studied the human delegates closely. You did not build Mark III overnight, he said. This level of design requires decades. The human delegate nodded. Yes, he replied. It does. The council waited. Some leaned forward. Others remained still, afraid of what they might hear. You speak of protection, the Supreme Counselor continued. But protection comes from fear. Fear comes from loss. The human took a slow breath. Then you understand why we began, he said. With a small gesture of his hand, the lights dimmed again. A new hologram formed above the platform. This time, it was not a battle. It was a memory. The image showed a human colony world. Green fields, blue oceans, small cities connected by glowing lines of transport. Peaceful. This was Colony Epsilon 9, the human said quietly. Our first deep space settlement. The image shifted. Warning lights flashed. Sirens echoed. Strange alien ships appeared in orbit. Several counselors recognized the design. Pirate vessels. The council received our distress call. The human continued. We were told help was coming. The hologram showed explosions in the atmosphere. Cities burning. Defense systems failing. But help arrived late, he said. The image faded. A silence filled the chamber that no one dared to break. That day, the human said, we learned something important. The reptilian general folded his arms but said nothing. No one will save you faster than yourself. The hologram changed again. Now it showed a dark underground facility. Human engineers worked in silence. Their faces were tired, determined. This was Mark-I, the human said. The image showed a rough, heavy suit of armor. Large, slow. It failed. The hologram shifted. Mark II appeared. Sleeker, faster. It survived longer, the human said, but not long enough. The insectoid strategist spoke softly. How many lives were lost during development? The human answered without hesitation. Too many. The Mark III armor behind him remained still. But each failure taught us, the human continued, not just how to fight, but how to endure. The hologram showed humans training, falling, standing again, testing the armor in extreme heat, deep oceans, frozen moons. We did not build Mark III to win wars, he said. We built it so no human child would ever wait for help that might not come. That sentence echoed through the hall. Several counselors looked away. They remembered other species, other colonies, other delayed responses. The Supreme Counselor's voice was lower now. You chose isolation. We chose responsibility, the human corrected. The reptilian general finally spoke again. And you expect the galaxy to trust his power? The human turned toward him. No, he said. We expect the galaxy to respect it. A pause. Then the human added, trust must be earned. We are prepared to earn it. The Mark III armor moved slightly. Its head turned, scanning the chamber, not as a threat, but as awareness. The insectoid strategist watched carefully. This armor is not fully autonomous, it said. There's human presence within. Yes, the human confirmed. Always. The strategist tilted its head. You did not remove the human from a battlefield. No, the human said. We refuse to become something else. The council absorbed that quietly. Many species had replaced soldiers with machines long ago. Humanity had not. They stood inside their creations. They shared the risk. A council diplomat whispered, that explains the precision. And the restraint, another replied. The Supreme Counselor rose slowly. Your technology could bring peace, he said, or destroy it. The human met his gaze. So could yours, he said simply. Another silence followed. This one felt different. Less tense, more thoughtful. The Supreme Counselor raised one hand. The council will recess, he announced. We must consider what we have learned. Murmurs spread instantly. Some counselors looked relieved. Others looked worried. The reptilian general remained standing. This is not over, he said to the human. The human nodded. We know. As the council began to withdraw, the Mark III armor powered down further. The blue core dimmed to a steady glow, but its presence remained, watching, waiting, far beyond the council chamber. In deep space, signals began to move. Ancient empires activated hidden sensors. Unknown observers turned their attention toward Earth, because one truth was now clear across the galaxy. Humanity had survived in silence, and those who survived quietly were never unprepared. The Galactic Council did not find peace during the recess. Instead, fear spread. Behind closed chambers and sealed communication fields, the most powerful species in the galaxy argued in low, urgent voices. Alliances that had lasted centuries began to crack. Humanity had not fired a shot at the Council, yet everything had changed. In a private council chamber, the reptilian general stood before a group of warlords. His tail lashed slowly against the metal floor. "This cannot be allowed," he growled. "One species does not get to hold such power unchecked." A silver-skinned diplomat replied calmly. "Unchecked? They revealed it openly. That alone is restraint. Restraint today," the general snapped. "Dominance tomorrow." Across the chamber, an ancient machine intelligence processed thousands of outcomes. "Conflict probability increases if confrontation begins," it said. "Human response speed exceeds council averages." That fact unsettled everyone. In another section of the council complex, smaller species gathered in quiet groups. Their worlds were closer to pirate space. They remembered unanswered distress calls. One small amphibian delegate spoke softly. "Humans came when no one else did," another replied, "and they did not ask for control." For the first time in centuries, the smaller species felt hope. Back in the main chamber, the Supreme Counselor remained alone. He stood before the empty platform where the Mark III had stood hours earlier. His glowing eyes reflected the metal floor. "Too fast," he murmured. "Too prepared." An aide approached carefully. "Supreme Counselor," it said, "several empires request emergency votes. They propose restrictions on human military technology." The Supreme Counselor closed his eyes. "And if we try," he asked. The aide hesitated. "Humanity may withdraw completely." The Supreme Counselor understood the danger. A species that powerful, operating outside council law, could not be controlled by force, only by choice. Elsewhere in the complex, the human delegates waited in silence. They sat in a simple holding chamber, without guards. They had requested none. One of the delegates finally spoke. "They are afraid," he said. "Yes," another replied. As expected, the lead delegate remained silent, listening to distant echoes of movement. "They are not afraid of Mark III, he said finally. "They are afraid of what comes after." At that moment, the chamber lights flickered. A warning tone echoed faintly through the station. The human delegate stood instantly. In the council central control room, alarms began to flash. "Unknown signal detected." An operator shouted, "Origin beyond map space." The Supreme Counselor turned sharply. "Identify." The operator shook its head. "Signal design does not match any known species." The room went quiet. A massive projection appeared. Deep space. Dark. Silent. Then something moved. A shape larger than most council ships drifted into view. Its surface bent light strangely, like space itself avoided touching it. Gasps filled the control room. "That is not human," someone whispered. "No," the Supreme Counselor agreed. "It is not." Across the station, every species felt the same cold realization. Humanity had prepared for something else. And now that something was watching. In the human holding chamber, a secure channel activated. The Mark III armor appeared as a hologram. "Contact detected." It reported non-council origin. The lead human delegate nodded slowly. "So they are closer than expected," he said. "Threat level?" asked another. "Unknown," the armor replied. "But significant." The humans exchanged looks. One asked quietly, "Do we inform the council?" The lead delegate did not answer immediately. He remembered Colony Epsilon 9. The unanswered call. The delay. "We will," he said finally, "but not yet." Back in the council chamber, panic grew. Several empires demanded immediate military action. Others demanded negotiation. No one agreed. The reptilian general slammed his claw onto the floor. "This proves my point," he shouted. "The galaxy is under threat, and humans hide weapons instead of sharing them." The Supreme Counselor raised his hand. "And yet," he said calmly, "those hidden weapons may be the only reason we are still alive." Silence followed. A junior analyst spoke hesitantly. "The unknown vessel is scanning us." Every species knew what that meant. Someone was measuring, judging. The Supreme Counselor turned toward the human delegation chamber. "Bring them," he ordered. Minutes later, the humans stood once more at the center of the council hall. The atmosphere was no longer mocking. It was desperate. "You knew," the Supreme Counselor said. The human did not deny it. "We suspected," he replied. "We prepared." "What is it?" demanded the reptilian general. The human looked up at the massive projection of the unknown vessel. "It is the reason Mark I failed," he said quietly. The chamber froze. "And Mark II," he added. Fear swept through the council like fire. "You built Mark III for this?" the Supreme Counselor asked. "Yes," the human replied. "Can it stop them?" someone shouted. The human paused. "For now," he said. That answer was both hope and terror. The unknown vessel shifted position. More signals appeared behind it. Not one, many. The galaxy had been seen. And the council finally understood the final truth. Humanity was not late to the future. They had been standing at its edge all along. The Galactic Council Hall had never felt so small. The massive chamber that once symbolized control and order now felt fragile. Above the central platform, the projection of the unknown vessels flickered in cold light. There were more of them now, dark shapes moving slowly at the edge of mapped space. Silent, watching. The council members no longer argued. Fear had united them faster than diplomacy ever could. The Supreme Counselor stood tall, but even his glowing eyes showed concern. "You said Mark I and Mark II failed against this threat," he said to the human delegate. "What are we facing?" The human looked up at the projection. "We do not know their name," he replied. "We call them the Silence." A chill moved through the chamber. "Why?" asked the avian diplomat quietly. "Because they do not speak," the human answered. "They do not send warnings. They do not negotiate. Worlds go dark when they arrive." The image changed. A distant human colony appeared on the screen. Peaceful, bright. Then the dark vessels entered orbit. No explosions. No visible weapons. The colony lights simply went out. The image ended. Gasps filled the hall. "They harvest energy," the insectoid strategist whispered after rapid calculations. "Entire planetary grids drained." "Yes," the human said. The reptilian general clenched his fists. "And you fought them alone?" "We tried," the human replied. The Mark III armor stepped forward beside the delegates. Its blue core glowed brighter than before. "Mark, I was too slow," the human continued. "Mark II lacked power." "And Mark III?" asked the Supreme Counselor. The human looked at the armor. "Mark III was built to adapt faster than they can consume." Silence returned to the chamber. The unknown vessels on projection began moving again. Closer. "They are scanning council space," an operator shouted. "Defense fleets are powering weapons." "Hold fire," the Supreme Counselor ordered immediately. He turned to the human. "If we fight together," he said carefully, "what are our chances?" The human did not give a dramatic speech. He did not pretend certainty. "Better," he said simply. That honesty carried more weight than false confidence. The reptilian general stepped forward. "You expect the galaxy to trust you now?" he demanded. The human met his eyes. "No," he said. "We expect you to stand beside us." The difference was clear. Not above, not below, beside. The unknown vessels suddenly released a pulse of dark energy. Across the council station, systems flickered. Several outer defense satellites went offline instantly. "They are testing us," the insectoid strategist reported. The Supreme Counselor raised his voice. "All fleets to defensive positions." The human lifted his hand. "Permission to deploy," he said. The chamber hesitated only a second. "Granted," the Supreme Counselor answered. The Mark III armor moved to the center of the platform. Its surface shifted. Panels opened. Energy surged through its frame. Then something unexpected happened. More platforms across the chamber floor began to glow. Council members looked down in shock. One by one, additional armored figures rose from hidden chambers beneath the station. White and steel blue. Identical. Mark III units. Dozens of them. The reptilian general stared in disbelief. You brought an army into the council? He growled. The human shook his head. No, he said. We stationed protection. The Mark III units activated simultaneously. Their cores pulsed like synchronized stars. How many? The Supreme Counselor asked quietly. The human answered. Enough. Above the planet, space distorted. The first of the Silence vessels moved closer to the Council's homeworld. Without hesitation, the Mark III units launched. They shot upward from the station in streams of blue light. The main display shifted to live space view. The dark vessels released another pulse. This time, the Mark III shields adapted instantly. Blue barriers flared bright, absorbing the energy. They are learning, the insectoid strategist warned. So are we, the human replied. The Mark III units move with perfect coordination, not chaotic, not emotional, precise. One unit struck the nearest Silence vessel with a focused beam from its chest core. The dark surface cracked. For the first time, the unknown enemy reacted. It pulled back slightly. A ripple moved through the council chamber. Hope, they can be damaged, whispered a diplomat. Yes, the human said. They are not gods. The battle intensified. Dark pulses met blue shields. Energy lit the void like lightning in a storm. Then something changed. The Silence vessels began to retreat, not fleeing, repositioning. They are reassessing, the strategist reported. The Supreme Counselor watched carefully. Will they return? He asked. The human did not look away from the battle. Yes, he said. The last of the Silence ships slipped back into deep space. The projection cleared. For the first time in hours, the galaxy was quiet again. The Mark III units returned to the station slowly. Not one had fallen. Not one was destroyed. The council chamber remained silent as the armor settled back into place. The Supreme Counselor stepped down from his high seat. He walked toward the human delegate. For the first time in history, the leader of the Galactic Council bowed. Today, he said, humanity did not ask for protection. He looked around the chamber. You provided it. The human gave a small nod. We protect our own, he said. The Supreme Counselor studied him carefully. And now, the human looked up at the stars displayed above. Now, he said, we prepare together. Around the chamber, something shifted. Not fear, not dominance. Respect. Humanity had not risen to rule the galaxy. They had risen to stand when others could not. And from that day forward, whenever the Silence moved in the dark, they no longer found a divided galaxy. They found humanity waiting.